Lately, I've been sitting with what it means to see ourselves as separate. Most of the time, the way we're conditioned to think is we think in terms of duality. It's me and you, it's us and them, this side and that side. We look at people outside of us as other. We see their belief systems, their personalities, their choices, and almost without noticing, we start comparing them to ours. We line them up against what we think is right and wrong. And the moment anything feels like it threatens that, we sort of widen the gap, this versus that, me versus you. And we don't just do this with other people, we do it with ourselves. When we discover a blind spot or an aspect of our life that we don't like, or a part of us we have carried shame around, we sort of compartmentalize it. We push it over there. We ignore it. We say, that's not me, even though it lives inside our own experience. And the whole reason it can feel hard to move through those experiences or traumas is because we don't accept them. We treat them as other, as outside of us, as something we want to keep away from who we believe we are. So now we've got separation from ourselves and separation from other people, all happening at the same time. So this got me really thinking about how we show up to the people in our lives. So let's say you've been at a job for a long time. You've gone through so many experiences that have shaped your belief about what this job is, what you're capable of, and what the people around you are capable of. And over time, you start to show up with a mentality of, I know how this is going to go. I know how this is. I know how these people are. And in some ways, that helps. It really does help. It gives you a sense of comfort. It gives you ease. It gives you, helps you navigate the job with more ease and clarity. But when conflict hits, what often happens is that we've already othered those people. There's something in us that separates us from the person in front of us. We're no longer thinking in terms of a whole system. We're thinking in terms of separation. This person is wrong. This person is doing something that I don't agree with. This person is annoying me. And so we keep that wall up. Anything that they do becomes more evidence of why we're right to stay separate. We build a case for our own distance. We also find ourselves expecting situations to go in a certain way or people to react in a certain way before anything has even happened. It's like we put up this wall, a container or a box around them. If they were to change, if they were to show up differently, it would invalidate our entire belief system and the narratives that we have put in place. So we don't really allow people to change. We don't allow situations to even surprise us. I'll give you another quick example from my own experience of a job I had previously. So I would sit in meetings and hear someone talk about, this person always does that and that person always does that. It's just so annoying. Ugh. And then every time that person would send my colleague like a message or an email, there would be this immediate, visible, visceral reaction in their body to what was said and how it was said. Before we even got to the content of the message, you could feel the reaction. You couldn't you couldn't show up from a place of deeper awareness because there was already this presumption, this wall that was put in place. And when that happens, the energy that we're emanating steps into the room even before we do. We can't even view the situation from a different lens. We don't ask, maybe this person is hurting. Maybe they have a bad day. Maybe they hate their job and they're projecting that onto someone else. Maybe they don't feel valued around what's being asked of them, or anything, we go straight into defense mode. And when we go into defense, we build a wall around a potential connection. You can see the same thing happen in intimate relationships. So let's say you've been married for a long time, or you've been in partnership with someone for years. You know their idiosyncrasies, you know the one look on their face that makes you think something is off. You know how they sleep. You know what makes them tick. You know their favorite shows, their favorite foods, the little habits you've watched over time. You feel like I know everything about them. But when we stay in that place of I already know, we quietly step out of the space of curiosity and imagination and potential about what else is possible. We stop asking what else is underneath there? What else is there that I have not discovered yet? We are multidimensional beings. There's always going to be more. If my belief systems have already decided, I know how you are. I know how you're going to react. I know what they're like and what I know what they like, I know what they don't like, and I don't allow them to show up differently. I don't allow myself to show up differently in a different headspace, in a different state of consciousness. I- I'm locked into the story that I've already told about them and about us. And when that happens, I lose a fresh lens. We lose a fresh lens. We lose the ability to see newness in the relationship. We lose the ability to see any situation from a different perspective. We even lose a sense of fun and aliveness. Part of this experiment, part of this whole way of living is about allowing ourselves to view a situation from a different state of consciousness, to look at someone else from a fresh lens, to look at ourselves and our situations from a fresh lens. Even when we've gone around the block 100 times and with the same habit, the same circumstance, the same pattern, the same people, in each moment, we are actually new. We tend to think in terms of linear systems, which that's the Earth school, past, present, and future. But underneath that, we are living our lives moment by moment. The way that our brain works is that we see a past event and we forget that the past is only us recalling something from this now moment. Right now, the only moment we actually have is now. Right now is the only place we can feel, choose, and respond. But we keep pulling up past events and building a case for who someone is, for who a group is, a group of people are, for who we are. We put an identity around someone, we put an identity around ourselves. And we do it without allowing ourselves to really have a different perspective. From there, our love, if we have any, starts to become conditional. Our love becomes, I love you if you agree with me. I love you if you don't annoy me. I love you if you don't challenge me. Don't criticize me. Don't do something I'm not in alignment with. The love starts to get narrower. It becomes love inside a box. And the thing for me is, nature doesn't move that way. Nature doesn't think in terms of separation. Nature is oriented toward whole systems. A plant on one side of the planet has a direct effect on the irrigation systems on the opposite side of the planet. There is this constant exchange, this constant interconnection, whether we're paying attention to it or not. So, this becomes an invitation to look back into the places where we have othered ourselves, othered someone else. Maybe because of their belief systems, maybe because of our perceptions of what those beliefs mean. Maybe because of the identity we've created around them, the container we've built for who they are, who you think they are, and what that means for how you engage with them. Think about how this shows up at work. Think about how this shows up in your friendships. Maybe you hang out with the same people all the time and you never allow yourself to experience something new. Think about what this means for the things that you go after, the adventures you plan, the things you quietly decide are not for you before you've even given your chance to feel or experience them. Think about how this shows up in how you view the parts of yourself you have historically shamed, the parts you've placed aside, the parts you secretly feel guilty toward, the parts you've deemed unworthy or unlovable or not enough. You see, love does not see separation. Love allows everything to coexist, even those parts that we have pushed aside, not by pretending they don't hurt or that they don't have consequences, but by remembering they are still part of the whole of who we are. So, underneath all of this is really a question about how we're orienting to life. Are we constantly breaking things apart into this part of me, that part of me, this person, that group, these beliefs, those beliefs? Or are we willing to live from a sense of wholeness? Wholeness doesn't mean pretending that there are no differences. It doesn't mean bypassing harm or saying that everything is fine when it isn't. It's more about noticing when we've turned difference into a separation, separation into judgment, and judgment into distance. And then asking, what would it look like to stay connected even while I see the difference, even when I notice something in my body that I'm not fond of? What would it look like to include this part of me that I don't like yet instead of exiling it? What would it look like to approach this person with a little more curiosity, even though I think I already know the story? Wholeness invites us to see ourselves and others as more than one role, one belief, one moment or conflict or a version of the past. You might now notice the places where separation has quietly become your default: at work, in your family, in your relationship, inside your own mind. Maybe there's a person you've decided you already know. Maybe there's a part of you keep pushing away, feeling like you have to fix that in one step or you have to just fix that to be whole. Where am where are you living as if everything is separate?